They say a single decision can reshape your entire future. I used to think that was just something people said, until it happened to me. My name is Marlene. I'm 32 years old. And I destroyed my marriage over something I once brushed off as harmless. Just one dinner. One night out. A celebration after a long, exhausting work project. That's what I told myself, again and again. I kept pretending it meant nothing. But that evening, that so-called harmless night, it swept through my life like a silent hurricane, wrecking everything in its path. Now I sit in this apartment, alone. The silence is deafening. Every corner feels more like a shrine to regrets than a home. I keep trying to understand how things spiraled so quickly, how I let it all fall apart. Daniel, my husband, wasn't flashy or loud. Yet when he walked into a room, people noticed. He had this quiet confidence, solid, dependable. That steady calm was what drew me to him in the first place. I was the impulsive one. He was my anchor. When I crumbled under self-doubt, he stayed grounded. He never raised his voice, never demanded anything from me. He didn't hover, didn't pry. He trusted me. Completely. At first, it felt like freedom. It felt like love. He gave me room to be myself, to breathe, to grow. Isn't that what we all say we want? A partner who trusts us without question? But over time, that space began to feel hollow. No matter what I did, he remained unchanged. I could stay out late, and he'd welcome me back with a soft smile. If someone flirted with me in front of him, he'd just laugh it off like it didn't matter. And at first, I thought I was lucky. But slowly, I began to want something else. Not control. Not jealousy. Just some proof. Something to show I still had the power to move him. That I still mattered enough to stir a reaction, any reaction. I didn't want drama. I didn't mean to hurt him. That's what I told myself. Then came Marcus, my boss. Charismatic, charming, always knowing just how to make someone feel noticed. He had always flirted, but I never let it go beyond harmless banter. Until we started working side by side on a major project. Weeks of late nights, shared pressure, quiet glances. When we finally landed the deal, he invited me out to celebrate. Just the two of us. I knew exactly what it looked like. I understood what could happen. Still, I told myself it was innocent. That I deserved it. That Daniel wouldn't mind. He never did. Ironically, that same day, without knowing about Marcus's invitation, Daniel asked if I wanted to grab dinner, just the two of us. A spontaneous date night. And that's when I made the first real fracture in our marriage. I lied. I told him it was a required team outing. Somewhere deep inside, I wanted him to challenge me. To stop me. To finally show that it mattered. But he just smiled, pressed a kiss to my cheek, and said, "Have fun, March." It felt like shouting into an empty canyon and hearing nothing come back. Like I was invisible. So, I went. I told myself I was proving something. But in reality, I was setting a flame to everything we'd built. That dinner with Marcus wasn't an accident. I knew where it was headed before I even showed up. And yes, it happened. When I got home, Daniel was there, sitting quietly on the couch with a book in his hands. He looked up, his face unreadable, and asked how dinner was. I mumbled a vague reply, barely meeting his eyes. For the next few days, he didn't say a word about it. He didn't accuse, didn't yell. But something shifted. The warmth he always carried started to dim. He stopped reaching for my hand at night. He became distant in ways that felt colder than silence. One evening, while I was folding clothes, he asked, calmly, like the answer wouldn't surprise him, "Did you have dinner with Marcus?" "Just the two of you." There was no anger in his voice. Just quiet resignation. I froze. I wanted to lie. But his gaze crushed every excuse I might have had left. "Yes," I whispered. "But it wasn't like that." He nodded once. "Okay." Then he stood up and walked away. That was the moment I realized I hadn't poked at a small ember. I triggered a full-blown detonation. I tried after that. I cooked his favorite meals. Tried to talk like before. Touched him like I used to. But it was like reaching out to someone already gone. Eventually, I broke. Daniel, please, can we fix this? He looked at me with those same calm eyes that once made me feel safe and said, I think it's already broken, Marlene. I couldn't breathe. That's it. You're giving up. He shook his head slowly. You think this is sudden, but I've been holding on to this for years. It's always felt like you were waiting for someone else. I begged. I cried. I swore nothing like this would ever happen again. But the damage was done. The next day, he packed his bags and left. Just like that. My marriage was over. The aftermath was worse than I imagined. Marcus, who once made me feel desired, turned cold and smug. Like he'd claimed something and thought he owned it now. When he crossed the line again, I reported him. But by then, it didn't matter. The gossip had already started. People whispered, stared, judged. Even my family pulled away. My sister's words still sting. You always wanted more. Well, now you've got it. Daniel's parents, who once loved me like their own, cut off all contact. I was left to sit with the silence, with the truth. It wasn't until everything had crumbled that I realized what I had given up. Daniel never loved me with firestorms or shouting matches. He loved me through patience, through his steady presence, through unwavering belief in who I was. I thought I wanted passion, but all I really needed was him. And I couldn't see it until I'd already destroyed it. Months have passed. The divorce is final. I've moved to a different city, left my job behind, and started over where no one knows my name or my mistakes. I see a therapist now. I'm trying to understand why I confused calm for indifference. Why I reached for chaos when I had peace in my hands. The ache still lingers. Some days, it catches me off guard, a scent, a song, a quiet Sunday. But I'm learning. Love isn't always loud. It doesn't have to shake the ground to be real. Sometimes, it's soft, constant, safe. That's the love Daniel gave me every single day. And I traded it for an illusion. If love ever finds me again, if I'm lucky enough to get that chance, I'll know better. To anyone hearing this, don't wait for jealousy to measure your worth. Don't mistake comfort for neglect. And please, don't destroy something precious just because it doesn't come with fireworks. Because one night can cost you everything. And not everyone gets the chance to rebuild.